Welcome to Inside the Boat, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing? It's your host, Dave Jones. I'm live. We live on YouTube. We live on whatever platform you on or listening to. We're live. So, anyway, before we get started into our guest, before we get started into what we're going to talk about today, which we're going to talk about the top 3 opportunities that you have as a buyer in this real estate market. So before we do that, though, before we talk about that, I want to invite you to subscribe, invite you to, just tap into the podcast. Also, email me if you have anything that you want to talk about, like, and you just don't know the answer, or you are curious about something about Tacoma or Pierce County in general, or you want to have someone on the show, or you want to, whatever, just hit me up, davidjones@windermere.com. Hit me up, and I'd love to hear from you about like what you're trying to hear, or if you have something else, or if you want to be on the show, shoot, hit me up. You never know. These summer days, these summer weeks, man, it gets kind of, it's kind of light around here. So people are on vacation and whatnot. So anyway, we're always going to try to bring something every week, though, at least. And so this week I want to talk about the market because we haven't talked about that. Not specifically in terms of Pierce County specifically and what's going on the ground. So I'm going to bring you an agent and a Bodie agent to join me on today's live. You've seen this person before. They've been on this show already. They're 7 years in the game, 7-year real estate agent, Lincoln District expert. We have done a podcast on Lincoln District, so if you know, some of y'all that's listening probably already know who this is. They're a self-proclaimed barbecue pit boss. Whether that's true or not, that depends on who's actually eating the food and what they think. I've heard good. I haven't heard anything else, so I don't know. They're local through and through. Went to Bellarmine Prep and went to college at UPS. So really haven't gotten out of Tacoma too much for schooling. Have done some other things. I'm gonna let them come on here and protect themselves, protect their neck, because just talking all kinds of stuff. We'll see what they say when they get on here. A self-proclaimed genius this person is as well, and yeah, I'm gonna that one. I'm kind of questioning that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm gonna bring y'all Jordan Cain. How you doing, Jordan?
Yeah, I didn't know you were gonna throw in that genius part. Like, that's
I
cool.
mean,
I
I'm just
mean,
trying to, just trying to liven it up real quick.
I heard you. I heard
But
you.
yeah, I just so self-proclaimed pit boss. Like, tell me more about that because I don't know if I've had. Actually, you know what? I haven't even had your barbecue before, so
Well,
I
you don't
can't
eat
really.
meat, so that's not my fault.
I
So,
mean, no
we want
diddy,
to do
but
smoke you
like,
some corn. Like, that's not gonna work.
yeah, I mean, what's that? Elotes? You can't make me some elotes? Is
I don't even know what that
that how
is.
I say it? Like the
I don't know.
corn?
No, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
but
do that. But yeah, yeah. So actually, I mean, I've been cooking my whole life. Just kind of,
your whole life?
my whole life. I mean, I started making. You know how it is. I mean, so I'm Dave. Dave and I are brothers. Single mom, so you kind of had to fend for yourself a little bit growing up. So I learned how to cook early, uh, and then whenever I was doing stuff with friends and somebody was barbecuing, I was on the barbecue. But then during COVID, I got like just like a little Weber kettle and started using a lot more charcoal. And then I got into actually smoking like low and slow. Um, and yeah, since then I've just kind of honed the craft every year, and it's a lot of fun. It's a labor of love, but
So
I think I'm pretty good.
you're saying you're him.
I'm not
Have
saying
you?
I'm Timothy, but I'm
I
pretty good.
mean, from what I've seen, you really be putting in the work. I mean, I don't know. It looks like it's good to me.
Yeah, I mean it is good. So, but you don't eat meat.
uh, yeah. So anyway, the what else is going on in your life? Like, are you? So you're in the market right now.
Yep.
Um, what's going on the ground out there for anyone? So because this is a buyer centric pod, like we going live
Mhm.
is a buyer centric live. So I want to, just kind of talk to the buyers. Like, what's going on out there for buyers that you've seen?
Yeah, yeah. So this year it definitely started out pretty hot. I was working with some buyers. I had a good listing in Lincoln, which was really busy. We got multiple offers and went well over list price. they got really strong offers. And then I also had some other buyers in Lincoln who were they were kind of just like their max was about 500 ish.
Okay.
And if you know anything about kind of the market right now, it's a little bit hard at that price point, especially if you're
Yeah.
looking for multiple bedrooms, bathrooms. Um, I feel like 450 to 500 is kind of like the new like more difficult first time home buyer price, which is kind of
Wait,
crazy.
come, come again. Hold on. Is that
Hmm.
for that's for all around Tacoma in general? Like, just are we generally speaking?
So I mean, it depends. I guess it kind of depends on what kind of home you're looking for, right? So if you're a first time, but a lot of folks who are quote unquote first time home buyers right now, they might it might be them, their spouse, they might have a kid or two, and
Yeah.
then what happens a lot of times too is people have a parent or two that they're planning on living with them, so you need space.
Okay.
Whereas I think before in prior years. Um, it was when rates were lower and homes were more kind of affordable, you could get away with buying a 3 bed 1 bath and doing whatever if it was just you and your spouse. But I think more people are getting into the game later, so they're already kind of more established and have more bodies in the house, and they're doing the multi-generational to make things more affordable for themselves. So
That makes sense. Yeah, I look at that sticker and I have to imagine there's a lot of people who want to buy a house that might be in the 300s though, and
mhm.
it's just kind of like, wow, really? $300,000 or $330,000 can't get me like just a regular 2 or 3 bedroom house, which is just kind of insane to
Yeah,
me, at
yeah.
least in our area, because like our infrastructure in terms of jobs is government jobs, military. We're a service sector, if you will. We don't have that tech like Seattle does, where you have that
Mhm.
tech money or that tech infrastructure in terms of jobs. So it's just kind of like, wow, like that's what we're fetching, huh?
Yeah.
Because our median, I think, is what 400 and if I had to guess, 480, 500, just floating in that area somewhere,
Hmm.
460. I mean, don't
Hmm.
quote me on that, but like we're in that range in terms of
I mean,
Tacoma's median.
and you can definitely still find, $350,000 houses, 360, in specific areas. Like
Yeah.
I say on the east side, if it's like a 2 bed 1 bath, you could definitely probably find that. Parts of South End as you get kind of more south, Parkland. Um,
Okay.
but they're kind of they're gonna be small. They're gonna be. I think more people now are looking for more space because they're
Yeah.
thinking more long term, as opposed to uh, I'll buy this house, stay in it for 3 years, and then move up from there. I think
Right.
now more folks are like, all right, it has to be, but at this price, it has to be at least 6, 7 years, and then I'll start thinking about moving up.
I just want to show people. Yeah, that's good. Good note. I just want to show people. This is from the Northwest MLS Info Sparks. This is the market. So for price, median sales price, and we're looking at about 500
Hmm.
for Tacoma for the city of Tacoma. If you're in, if we're looking at condo, median in Tacoma is 402. So there
Hmm.
might be opportunities there for condo, but then also remember that you might be paying, HOAs. There's other dues that are involved in buying a condo, but still there could be some opportunities out there for you in the condo market. So just wanted to share that as I was kind of guesstimating on the median price, but I didn't realize it had gone back up to 500.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot, man. That's a lot of money. So
Yeah.
anyway, so if we so if we're talking about like the price point is pretty, is pretty high in my opinion, but where are the opportunities for some buyers though in this market? Because there has to be, I like to say there's always an opportunity in every market. So where are the
Mhm.
opportunities for the market? We'll start with the first one. Well, actually, you go ahead. Tell me. You got one?
Well, so I mean, so I think, just kind of the period that we're in right now, overall, we're probably still in a seller's market where, inventory is, so a balanced market is anywhere from 5 to 7 months of inventory. I'm sure we're probably still under that. So technically, we're still in quote unquote, a seller's market.
Okay.
Um, but it definitely feels more like a buyer's market
Right.
and I say that because, I mean, there are still homes that are getting multiple offers and kind of come off the market, pretty quick, like we're used to. But it's I want to say it's like 30% of homes right now are getting multiple offers.
Oh wow.
Whereas, in years past, that would be like 80,
Yeah.
85% of homes. Um, so so that right there makes me feel like, all right, so it's much more of a buyer's market. And the opportunity with that means that as a buyer, you kind of have more control over the process, as opposed
Mm,
to, a house comes on the market the day of, you have to go see it, and you have to, do a pre-inspection, and you have to bid up, and you have to do all these crazy things. Whereas
yeah.
now you can kind of take your time and really vet it, really feel it, maybe go see it 2 3 times before you actually write an offer, or 4 times before you write an offer. And you might not be competing against someone else, and when you are competing against someone else, it might not be, $50,000 over list price. It might
Right.
be five, and just making some other little tweaks. Um, that's definitely one huge positive of this market for buyers, is that it's just, you can make better decisions because you don't have to make them as quickly.
Yeah, like less competition. So that's what I'm hearing you say is like there's less competition in the market. So therefore, you can kind of take your time.
Hmm.
You mentioned, did you mention seller concessions in there?
No,
Um,
I didn't. But that's another one. That's
yeah,
definitely
so
another.
I was curious about that one because we were talking before and another opportunity. So opportunity one being like less competition, which buys you more time and all those other things that you talked about. But then seller concessions. What is a seller's concession, and are you seeing or hearing about any of that in the market right now?
Yeah, so a seller, I'll just firstly just describe what a seller's concession is. So it's the seller making a concession for the buyer, right? So let's say buyer writes an offer, does their inspection, and there's, you know, and in their eyes, they think, oh, there's $10,000 worth of work here. I'm going to ask, the seller to give me a seller's concession of $10,000, which means that buyer would then bring $10,000 less to the table when they
Right.
close, and the seller
Right.
is giving them that fund. And you can use that. You can use those concessions for your down payment. You can use them for your closing costs. You can use them to buy down your rate. That concession is
Can
for
I
you to
go to
use.
the club?
You
Can I
can't do
go? I
that, but
can't go to the
you can't, and
club.
you have to use it. Let's come on. Let's be serious. This is serious stuff. Like, come
Oh,
on.
I'm trying
God, God damn. But yeah, so you can use it within your loan. You can't go to the club with it. You can't, and you're not going to get it back. You're not gonna pocket that money. You have to use it.
okay. Um, yeah. So good opportunity. I mean, so we got less competition. So that I mean, when we talk about that too. So I want to give an illustrate like something here because I was looking at some information. Let's see. I was going to bring up the what you call it. There we go. The inventory. So you'd mentioned inventory, and I just wanted to bring this up. This is from Northwest MLS data as well, and it shows you can see here our inventory based on pended sales, so months of inventory. You mentioned what a balance market is, and man, if 5 to 7 or is a balanced market, we're of months of inventory. We're still in a heavy sellers market based on inventory numbers, but that's what makes this such a weird time. Is like it feels like you said like a buyer's market.
Hmm.
So this is current day stats. So today is what's today the 23rd. So we are currently at about a 1.6 months of inventory right now in Pierce County based on pended sales. That's not a lot,
Hmm.
So I think that that's interesting. But it's in contrast to Pierce King County, which I think we have 20% more inventory. Excuse me, or something like that. But here's what I see right here. It says our months of inventory is up 11.3% year to date from last year. So we have 2 months of inventory year to date versus 1.8 months of inventory year to date last year. So we're slightly up in
Hmm.
Pierce County. Month to date, not too much of a change. This, last month, like last month to this month, or I'm sorry, this month last year to this year, are the same. It's pretty similar. So that's been interesting.
Well, I think the difference is like inventory levels are similar. It's just buyer activity that's down.
Oh,
Right. So, I mean, we still have similar, like we have a normal amount of inventory for our market here, which is still not very much. But let's say we had, 1.6 months of inventory and rates were, 4 or 5%, and there's way more buyers in the market, and, maybe there's the buyer sentiment is better, the economy might be a little bit better, there's just less fear generally out there. That 1.6 months of inventory would probably drop down at like zero point 0.4 pretty quickly because people would start moving through that inventory a lot quicker as opposed to being on the sideline.
yeah. You mentioned buyer activity. I wanted to show that too because I was going to show some of this buyer activity. So this is the buyer activity in Pierce County for between 500 and $1 million. So this is just a rough Pierce County drawing because I drew this kind of roughly, just you know, had all our areas in there. You can see what's interesting. You can see the hot spots of where people are buying. Let's see. I'll go back out here. Gig Harbor. You can see right here, right next, Uptown. What is that? Uptown right there. Artendale got a hot spot out there. Central Tacoma to North Tacoma. You can see spot right there. And then you mentioned Parkland and maybe going out and buying a
Anyway,
little
yeah.
bit more at that in that direction. And you can see here. So I'm showing this because like you sat there and you talked about some of those areas, and here we are. We have the hot spots on those areas. You haven't even seen this map yet.
I haven't. I just know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I see, I see,
That's
I
the genius
see.
part. That's the genius.
I see. No, but you can see here too. So this is not the biggest sample size of buyers. It's for the buyers that are using this particular platform. I want to preface that, but it's better than nothing. Like right now, we don't. If I wasn't showing you this, then I won't. I don't know where I would get this buyer
Yeah,
data
it's
from.
real
So
time.
yeah, so it's real time data, and these are people who've been. This is the last 90 days, so you can see that there's buyer activity looking at certain houses. So I think that that's interesting that we still do have, people sitting on the sidelines, maybe who not have not made the decision to jump because of all the things you spoke of, macroeconomics uncertainty. Um, they might be just getting ready to leave on a trip, or there's just life stuff
Mhm.
happening that they might not be able to make that jump, or maybe they're seeing people have cuts or at their position, at their job, at their place of employment, and there's cuts going on right now is probably not the best time to be jumping out the window and doing something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I've actually had conversations with a couple of buyers who were like, yeah, we weren't sure if maybe if my job might get lost and da 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 da, and they really pumped the brakes because of that, and like that's totally understandable. Like I'm not,
mhm.
yeah, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, you're gonna be fine, just
You're
like
supposed
that,
to force
like
them
if
into.
you're
You're supposed to force them, man. Do we not teach you?
no,
Gosh,
no, 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 no. If you don't feel good
teaching.
about it, don't buy a house right now.
We are
That
never
would
gonna
be
force
that'd be the
anybody to
worst
do that.
mistake of your life.
Hell no.
So,
Um,
but if you are, if you are secure, if you are confident in your income, if you are confident in where you're at, and it's the right time for you, there's definitely opportunities out there.
yeah, for sure. So last one we have is flexibility. So opportunity number three being flexibility. So we have one, there's less competition. Two, there's seller concessions, and three, flexibility. What do you mean by flexibility?
So I think in a more busy market, people feel like they have to do things because of how
Hmm.
busy it is, or like they have to buy this house because there's not going to be another one.
Right.
So when you have more inventory, there's more, and when you have more inventory and more time to consider it, you start to paint a better picture of what you're looking for, and you
Okay.
don't feel like you're under the gun to make a decision, right? So because of that, you can really kind of vet homes and really figure out what you're looking for. And if you pass on something, you're not going to feel like it's the end of the world. That's
Finna
that,
pass
that's
on
more
somebody. I'm John Stockton.
like. Vito hasn't had the Bible if God writes it. Yeah.
Sorry. I couldn't stop. I couldn't help it.
I know, I know, I know. But yeah, so that's what I mean by flexibility is just that really just kind of freedom to feel like you're not missing out on something. I think,
Yeah,
especially for millennial buyers, we all kind of get or millennial people, we just kind of have FOMO baked into our who we are. So not feeling that as much, I think, helps you a feel better about the whole situation process, and b it's just less stressful.
yeah. I took that moment to not say anything about millennials. So I want to acknowledge my growth as a human being and
You're not a
acknowledge.
millennial, right?
No,
You're a
I'm.
baby boomer, right? You're a boomer. What? What's so funny?
So yes, I'm very I agree with the flexibility part. I think that is, like it feels like in our time owning Windermere Abode and listening to the sentiment of the marketplace and people, right? It feels like we're always complaining about something. And I don't know, this isn't a hot take really, it's just my observation. It's just like, I remember when the market was hot and we were selling lots of houses and people were like, "Man, this we I wish we had more inventory," and
Mm,
now it's just like, all right, we have inventory, and it's just like, man, I wish the rates were lower, and then it's just like, well,
mm,
and yes, there's so many external factors that we cannot control, but like I said, there's always an opportunity in something because it's always going to be something
yeah,
that we're not
yeah.
happy with, or we're not the market's not going our way, or it's not.
Hmm.
So I'm sitting there like, okay, well, what's the best way that I can be in the best position to take advantage of whatever market that we're in?
Hmm.
And a lot of that has some of that we can't do anything about, and I don't want to be like not empathetic to those who are in positions where they could potentially be getting cut due to budget slashes and things of that nature. Like I'm very aware of what's going on and all of that space, but I also, plan and get something because right now
Hmm.
there's opportunity. There's so much opportunity out there right
Yeah.
now.
Well, and I think so the opportunity when rates were lower was that people had it was more affordable, but then with
Yeah.
that came just I mean chaos. Like it was
Yeah.
I mean just thinking back to so when we bought our house in 2021, it was listed it's a 4 bed 2 bath in Lincoln. It was listed for 350. Um, for we saw it the day it came on the market. uh the owners were like cat people, and they like took us through the house room by room because the cats had beef, so they couldn't commingle. It was crazy. And like they didn't really get it ready. They barely decluttered a little bit. It didn't look great online. And it still got 10 offers in 4 days, and we bid it up I think $80,000
Oh wow.
over, yeah, like that's what you had to do. And we did a pre-inspection, and I was talking to another agent because there was four pre-inspections going on at the same time.
It
uh,
what
yeah,
at
it
the
was. Yeah, it
dang.
was. So the house came on the market Wednesday. We initially had our pre-inspection scheduled for Friday, and then they said, "Oh, well, actually, we're not going to make it to the weekend. So can you push it up to Thursday?" And I was like, "Okay." So I got there, did the pre-inspection, and there was four of the people doing pre-inspections. And I talked to one of the agents. She was like, "Yeah, this is my client's 10th pre-inspection. So they paid for 10 pre-inspections,
Wow.
and they still lost on that thing." So like I mean, and that was completely normal for
That's
that
brutal.
time. Like
Yeah,
that's how
that
every house
market.
was. Hmm.
Yeah, that market was crazy, man. Like
It
looking
was
back,
crazy.
it's just like, dang, I can't believe that even happened.
Hmm.
Um, well, just 2020 in general, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I, there's opportunities. So like, you look at your situation. So I'm hearing you talk about like buying that house and having to be in competition with 10 other, what you said,
There's 10 offers. Yeah.
10 offers. And right now, like if you're in a multiple offer situation, when you hear that, typically you're not talking about 10 people. You might be
No, it's
talking
like
about
two
like
or
two or
three.
three.
Hmm.
Like that's a big difference.
Hmm.
And
Remember,
so
I had that one listing. I think it
yeah,
was 2019. I had 27 offers on
I
it.
remember that you were hurting so bad. I
Yeah,
remember
I was
walking
down
in the office
bad.
and he was sitting at the table with the lights out or something. And I was like, dang, he's really trying to, you're over there and sweating.
I was going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were over there like, That was crazy. And then I shoved a camera in your face and I made
Mhm.
a quick little reel.
So thanks, brother.
No, but it was, I mean, that's insanity. 27 offers. Like, that's
Yeah,
not a
it's
healthy
crazy.
market, man.
Well, I feel like sometimes I forget about that. Where I'm like, oh man, I wish da 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 da. But then what comes with that is
Right.
it's bonkers.
Um, and maybe we'll do another one where we talk about opportunities for sellers, top three opportunities for sellers. But I want us to keep this to the buyers. But do you have
Mhm.
anything else left for buyers out there? Any opportunities that they may have in this market?
Well, actually, just to make another point here, so I was just looking at some stats on my other screen. Back to your point about multiple offers now.
Hmm.
So pendings with multiple offers today is 37% of
Oh
homes.
wow.
So, about a third. But then the interesting part of that is pendings with escalation addendum. So that's when a buyer says, hey, I'm going to offer this, but I'm willing to go up to this amount,
Yeah.
is at 10%.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
so
So
10% of that 37. So it's like, so if you get multiple offers, usually they're going to be pretty close to each other.
yeah. So what does that look? Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay.
Which then makes it easier as a buyer because then it's like, all right, well, we know price wise, it's probably not going to go up very much. What else can we do to make your offer stronger? That's not going to really, affect your bottom line here as much.
Okay.
Maybe it's we put more down for earnest money. Maybe it's you do a pre-inspection. Maybe you make some of your contingencies shorter. Maybe you work with a good lender who gives you a call and talks you up. There's a lot of things that you can do
Yeah.
um, instead
Okay.
of just throwing more money at it, which is nice.
Yeah. So talk to your realtor, and hopefully, and I think that this is like we've been saying for a long time. This is a market for skilled realtors because you do have to be creative and be solution oriented and all of those things. So
Hmm.
yeah, I
But
commend you.
also, I think it's really important to be in this market too because it changes so quickly.
Hmm.
So I think that's the cool thing about where we work is, we do weekly meetings and we're in it. Like everyone's full time and in it. So because it
Yep.
changes fast.
And
So.
and that yeah, I mean, and I think I want to illustrate kind of what we mean by that because we'll say like it does that, but we were just talking about like say for example Tuesday about a form that had some changes last year, but there's certain ways to fill it out so that everything's all kosher. And so we're always constantly adding forms to the mix that you guys have to execute and learn about. So I mean, I think that's the side that people don't see when they talk about our value as realtors. And it's just like actually there's a lot, unless you want to read all of these new contracts with all these new addendums and stuff like that. Like I mean, not, most people are not reading those and really learning about the new procedures and the
Mhm.
nuances to do the actual transaction. So, and it's all legalese and contract driven. So, it's very important. You could be saving someone literally like 5 figures on just knowing the contract.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think it's interesting. A lot of value there. Um, are you ready for our last section of the conversation?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you're ready for it. It's called fill in the blank.
Okay.
You've never done fill in the blank before. So
I don't think so.
the rules are you just fill in the blank. It's pretty simple. All right, you
Hmm.
ready?
Yeah.
The most clutch thing I keep in my car at all times is blank.
Blender bottle for water.
Okay. When I'm not selling homes, you'll probably find me blank.
Playing in the backyard with my dog and hanging out with my wife.
Okay.
Not, or can I
That
switch the
sounds.
order? Hanging out with my wife and then playing in the backyard.
Sam's about to hear this. You're about to be
Woo!
in trouble if you didn't catch that.
Uh,
My guilty pleasure TV show or movie is.
oh man. I like I'll watch like some cheesy old anime, so like Dragon Ball Z or Yu Yu Hakusho, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Dragon Ball Z. You grew up
Yeah.
on Dragon. Did you grow up on Caillou too, or like PBS channel? Did you ever watch PBS channel?
I mean, Kai's for kids, but yeah, I mean, I've
I
seen it.
mean, that you
Dragon
are.
Ball Z, whew, that was the
That was
one.
the one.
Tsunami, oh my god. Lend me your energy. Yeah, oh my god.
It was the- uh, If I had to pick one album to play during every open house, it'd be
Ooh, that is hard. Um, well, it can't have too much swearing in it. It can't be too. Um, maybe like some Red Hot Chili Peppers. So maybe
hmm,
like yeah,
okay.
one of like
Yeah, that's a vibe.
Californication, something like
That's
that.
a vibe. That's a vibe. That's a great
Hmm.
record. That was a
Hmm.
big album when it first came out, man. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
it's
oh yeah.
obviously it's still a big album, but I mean, it's just that actually opened up the lane. That project opened up the lane for me to like explore that kind of music because it was dope. They actually
Mhm.
rocked with
Those and those
hip-hop
bass
beats.
line, yeah, the bass lines were
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, super dope album. Californication. That was one of them ones. So, all right, last one, and this could be a loaded question.
Mhm.
I don't want to start no fights. That is not what I'm trying to do. I just want to make sure I preface that to the missus. The most unexpected thing I've learned being married is.
Um, it was funny the other day. Sam showed me this meme. It was like a husband talking to his wife, and then he was like, "All right, you can either be right or you can be understood." And then the wife
Mm.
responds and goes, "I want you to understand that I'm right." And,
Ooh.
and that's what I've learned is that she wants me to understand that she's right.
I'm telling.
She will. I mean, she will care.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, that's. I'm not even gonna touch that. I have no
Yeah, yeah. I'm
comment.
not. You make me tell on you. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no. I have no comment.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you jumping on and sharing the top three opportunities for buyers. So, folks, go back and listen to those again if you want to, or if not, tell your friend because this is free game and it's really good game.
Mhm.
Also on that note, so give you 15 seconds. Tell people where they can find you, what all those things. Yeah, elevator pitch time. Go.
Yeah, my name is Jordan Cain, J Kane Holmes. That's my Instagram. You can DM me there, or just yeah. That's probably the best place to find me. Honestly, is there. If you have any questions about home ownership, I really believe in home ownership as a tool for normal folks to start building wealth and get security in your life. Yeah, so that's my goal here is just to help people get into real estate and then just be your realtor throughout the how your life changes and yeah, and I'm living it myself too, so I'm in there with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. So before we get out of here, we had Will Will Good came through. He said, "In the club, we all fam." We're going back to the comment section. Also gave you some love. This dude knows his stuff.
Actually, it's funny. I had a photo shoot with Will the other day, so yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Hmm.
Also,
Hmm.
he also said people will always find a reason to sit on the fence, and I agree with that sentiment. I think we were talking about like, opportunities in every market. So, yeah, appreciate you, Will, for tapping in. Learn real estate photography. You know how to go tap in with him if you want some good photography and pictures and videos and all those things.
Yeah, Will's very good.
He's been doing it a long time.
Mm.
He's got it.
It's
He's
in the
the
name. It's in the
it's in the
name.
name, bruh. It's in the name, bruh. Come on, family. Anyway, all right, man. Well, I'm not gonna drag on. People like what are these guys talking about? But anyway, we'll see y'all. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. We'll see y'all on the next one. All right,
Peace.
peace.